Lonely CEO millionaire shocked to discover incredible life-changing love in just one night. Jake Harper stood at the edge of the Chicago skyline, his sleek penthouse glimmering behind him like a fortress. With $1 million view and a bank account that could impress anyone, he was the quintessential self-made millionaire. But his heart felt like a heavy anchor, dragging him down into an abyss of loneliness. It was the eve of a high-profile charity gala for local veterans, and despite the clinking of champagne glasses and the laughter echoing around him, Jake felt an unbearable emptiness that he remembered the struggles of his childhood, the sacrifices his family made just to get by. Growing up poor had given him grit, but it had also cost him dearly in personal connections. The price of success had been steep. Old friends had slowly faded from his life, replaced by business deals and fleeting acquaintances. As he donned his sharp suit, it felt more like armor against a world that didn't know him anymore. He forced a smile, stepping into the gala that glittered with aristocrats and influencers. In the chaos of the event, Jake caught sight of Lily. She was a waitress darting through the crowd, her warm smile lighting up the room like a beacon. He watched as she effortlessly engaged with guests, her laugh echoed like a refreshing spring breeze. As fate would have it, she approached him, balancing a tray of drinks in her hands. "Hey there. Can I get you something?" she asked, her enthusiasm palpable. "Just some water," he said, surprised by the quick flutter in his chest. "And maybe a bit of that happiness you have?" "Ah, that's free. Just spread it around," she beamed back, eyes sparkling with genuine kindness. For the first time in years, Jake felt a smile break through his carefully maintained facade. They spoke between service, and he found himself dissolving into her warmth, the weight of corporate ambitions slipping away. Before they could delve deeper into their conversation, a shout erupted from the opposite side of the room. A prominent donor had just dismissed a veteran with a wave of his hand, dismissing the man's heartfelt story. The room fell silent, tension palpable. Jake's chest tightened as he felt Lily step forward, her heart radiating courage as she supported the veteran. "This isn't right," she insisted, her voice strong and unwavering. It was in that moment, he realized how far removed he was from genuine compassion. Watching Lily stand up for what was right stirred something in him, a flicker of hope he hadn't felt in years. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the night unfolded, sparks ignited between Jake and Lily. With each moment shared, he felt like a part of his heart that had long been buried started to bloom anew. But shadows loomed in the back of his mind, the unresolved issues with his family and the unethical practices in his own company. Just when it seemed like he could choose love over wealth, a phone call shattered the night. A family secret that could complicate his life was revealed, an injustice within his company that mirrored the very inequalities he detested. Jake was left standing at a crossroads, a storm of emotions raging inside him. The choice seemed insurmountable: stick with the life of superficial abundance or embrace a path that could heal him, his community, and reconnect him with his family. The answer loomed darkly in the air, making him question everything he thought he knew about success, love, and where his true loyalties lay. What would he choose? Jake's hand trembled slightly as he gripped his phone, the glowing screen illuminating his conflicted expression. The voice on the other end had rattled him. The scandal was bigger than he could have imagined. The company's dealings were marred with unethical contracts and shady partnerships that exploited vulnerable communities. He felt a sickening pit in his stomach. Lily's eyes sparkled with life as she floated back into view, her laughter echoing through the gala, blissfully unaware of the tidal wave gathering just beyond the glimmer of chandeliers. He wanted to embrace the light she radiated, but the weight of his reality loomed like storm clouds. Could it be possible? Could he really sever ties with the very thing he had worked so hard to build? Jake? Are you okay? Lily's voice cut through his daze, concern creasing her brow. As their eyes connected, he felt a pull, a connection he'd never wanted before but now desperately needed. Yeah, just lost in thought, he replied, trying to mask the turbulence within. But as the words left his lips, he caught a glimpse of the fragility in her smile. She seemed to sense the distance growing between them, and it spun a new layer of apprehension inside him. Sometimes it's good to let it all go, she said softly. You know, the money and status. What really matters is what you choose to stand for. Her words echoed profoundly, as though she could see right into his heart, unraveling the threads that had kept him captive. Jake could feel it an awakening. The injustice twisted around his conscience with every passing second. The vibrant energy in the room was fading as he wrestled with his thoughts. He found it hard to focus on the gala's festivities, the laughter, the music, they all blurred into a surreal backdrop. The real world was calling, demanding he decide between comfort and conviction, but then, just like that, he saw him the veteran Lily had defended. Still standing tall, even among murmurs of discontent. There was strength in his spirit, an unwavering resilience that drove home a message Jake couldn't ignore. He had enough power to create change, to fight for what was right, if only he could summon the courage. With each beat of his heart, he envisioned a new path. One where he could defend the overlooked instead of exploiting their struggles. If Lily could challenge the status quo with passion, why couldn't he wield his influence for good? He turned back to her. You're right, he said, his tone filled with a sudden clarity. I want to stand for something worth fighting for. Lily's expression softened, hope flickering in her eyes. That's amazing, Jake. I knew you had it in you. As their hands brushed, a new determination surged through him, breaking the chains of loneliness that had bound him for so long. But as they locked eyes, the weight of his unspoken family troubles lingered like an uninvited guest. Just then, the gala's music swelled, but all he could hear was the beating of a drum, urging him to keep moving forward. Yet, in the distance, another phone call buzzed, pulling his attention. He glanced at the screen, and dread pooled in his gut. His father was calling. The last voice he wanted to hear tonight, the man who held the keys to the family's dark secrets and the life Jake desperately wanted to escape. What did that call mean for the new resolve he felt? Would he indeed have the strength to fight against not just his company, but his legacy too? The questions hung heavy in the air, and as Jake swallowed hard, he knew he was on the brink of a revelation that would shake the very foundation of who he thought he was. What awaited him on the other end of that call could change everything. Jake's heart raced as he stared at the phone, the screen a glowing portal to his past. He hesitated, thoughts colliding like a storm. The gala dazzled around him, a swirl of shimmering gowns and laughter, but it felt distant and hollow now. Everything okay? Lily asked, her voice soft but curious, her hand reaching out, brushing against his wrist that he felt his skin prickle at her touch, grounding him momentarily. I think I need to take this, he said, the words a breathless confession. Without waiting for her reply, he stepped away, the laughter fading into a distant murmur as he moved toward a quieter corner of the grand ballroom. He couldn't shake the gnawing worry gnawing at him. His father's voice, always heavy with expectations and unyielding traditions. Jake's mind flashed back to conversations that had felt more like commands than father-son talks. He slid his finger across the screen, accepting the call, and the familiar tones came through, laced with authority. Jake, his father greeted gruffly, I need to talk to you. We've got some issues at the office. Jake's breath caught, anger igniting inside him. You mean your issues, he shot back, frustration bubbling to the surface. What if I told you I'm not interested in the family business? There was a moment of silence, then the familiar bark of laughter from his father echoed in the receiver. You think you can just walk away? You're not a kid anymore. You have responsibilities. Responsibilities to whom? To what? Jake felt a wave of rebellion surge within him. You've built a legacy on the backs of people who don't deserve it. Enough is enough. Watch your tone. The warning was palpable through the phone. Jake inhaled sharply. You don't get to control me anymore. The line fell silent, heavy with unspoken words. He could almost hear his father's thoughts racing, calculating, preparing for battle. And in that moment, everything Jake had ever wanted flickered before his eyes: the freedom to choose, to live authentically. Jake, listen to me, his father began again, but Jake cut him off. No, you listen. I'm done being your puppet. This isn't the life I want. His pulse thrummed loudly in his ears as he hung up. He exhaled, feeling lighter but also a pit of fear settling in his stomach. Would his father fight back? Would he destroy everything Jake had begun to build for himself? He looked around the room, searching for Lily amidst the sea of shimmering faces, hoping for reassurance. When their eyes met again, the spark of hope igniting, he felt buoyed by her presence. Was it possible she could understand? That someone else might be brave enough to stand with him? Jake, she called, approaching with an aura of calm. I saw your expression. What happened? He took a step closer, words tumbling out like a confession. I told him I'm not going back to the company. I won't be a part of it anymore. Lily's eyes widened, a mixture of admiration and concern brimming in her gaze. That's huge. But are you sure? It's a big step. I'm sure of what matters to me now, he confessed. Like standing up for those who can't. Like maybe building a future that's not dictated by my past. Lily nodded slowly, a proud smile creeping across her face. But Jake noticed the tension, not just hope rippling through her expression, but an understanding of the challenge ahead. Your father won't take it lightly, she warned gently, grounding him back to the uncertainties surrounding his decision. I know, he replied, his heart still racing. But I can't go back. I need to move forward. I want to help. Just then, the room shifted around them as the music swelled once more, a reminder of the world still spinning. Jake caught himself wondering what would come next. Was he prepared to face the fallout? What would this mean for his family? As they stood together, a fragile connection building, shadows of the past looming, their surroundings faded, leaving only the two of them in that moment of uncertainty and awakening. And just as he began to open his mouth to speak again, another phone buzzed, this time from Lily's pocket, slicing through the silence. Looks like we need to face what's coming together, she said softly, glancing at him with a mix of determination and trepidation. What would the next chapter hold for them both? Would they rise against the tide, or would the weight of their pasts pull them under? Lily glanced down at her phone, her face betraying a flicker of apprehension. As she read the message, Jake could see her posture tighten, her shoulders stiffening slightly. He couldn't help but feel his heart thump in time with the rising tension. Is everything okay? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the unease creeping in. It's just, my brother, she said, looking back up at him with a furrowed brow. He's been contacting me a lot recently. He's been in a rough spot, and it seems he's taken a turn for the worse. Lily, I'm so sorry. Do you need to go? Jake felt a wave of helplessness wash over him. He wished he could solve her problems, just like he was beginning to tackle his own. He's having a moment of need, she replied softly, biting her lip. I think he might be alone right now. The warmth that had enveloped them moments before seemed to flicker, the vibrant atmosphere of the gala fading into a distant hum. Jake hesitated, not wanting to push her away. I can come with you. If that helps, he offered, a part of him wanting to be there for her as she had been for him, her eyes softened, gratitude blooming there. You don't have to, but I'd appreciate it. As they headed toward the exit, the clatter of heels and muted conversations rippled through the ballroom. Jake's heart raced anew, but this time it was driven by concern for Lily and her brother. Who was he? What troubles had pulled him down? They stepped outside into the cool night air, stars twinkling overhead, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling inside the ballroom. Jake felt the weight of the night settle onto his shoulders as they made their way to her car. He opened the door for her, that small act grounding him amidst uncertainty. "Thank you, Jake," she murmured as she slid into the passenger seat, the heaviness of her thoughts surrounding them like a fog. He started the engine, the sound a low rumble of purpose, and pulled out into the dimly lit street. Lily looked out the window, her hand gripping the dashboard. "I never wanted him to go down this path. He was always the smart one, the one who had a plan." "Sometimes those plans can slip away," Jake said quietly, understanding more than he let on. "It's not about the plan, it's about the choices we make. Just like I'm trying to make mine right now." She turned to him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You're brave, you know. Standing up to your father like that." The compliment caught him off guard, cradling a warmth in his chest. "I just want to be free, Lily. To be me." "Maybe that's enough," she whispered, reaching for his hand on the gear shift. The touch sent a jolt through him, but there was a gravity in the moment that held them close. Silence wrapped them, punctuated only by the soft hum of tires on pavement. Jake felt the stirrings of hope yet knew there were challenges ahead, for her brother and for them both. Once they arrived, Lily's demeanor shifted. The reflection of worry clouded her face like a storm gathering power. "I hope he's okay," she said, her voice tightening. As they walked toward the door of her brother's place, Jake felt a whirlwind of emotion swirl inside him. What if they weren't enough? What if her brother's struggles became their own? But he steadied himself, determined to face whatever lay beyond that entrance. Jake unlocked the door, and it swung open with a creak. The darkness inside was heavy, tangible. The flicker of a single lamp in the corner barely illuminated the shadowed space. Lily called out, her voice uncertain. "Jake, but just then, a loud crash echoed from within. Instinct took over, adrenaline surging as they both stepped deeper into the unknown, their hearts racing together. What could they find lurking in the dark? Would they uncover more than they bargained for? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as they stepped into the darkness. The air felt charged, thick with uncertainty and dread. It took every ounce of courage to keep moving forward, but he could sense Lily's fear wrapping around them like a cloak. "Lily, wait," he urged, trying to keep his voice low and steady in the enveloping gloom. The memory of the crash echoed in his mind. It sounded violent, too loud for just a simple misstep. Lily hesitated, her breath catching. What if he's in trouble? "Let us find out," he replied, trying to inject confidence into his words, though his knees felt like jelly. They swept through the small living room, the faint glow from the lamp painting ghostly shadows on the walls. Dust motes danced in the light, but it was hard to feel anything but the heavy, palpable anxiety. As Jake stepped cautiously into the adjoining kitchen, he felt a deep chill creep up his spine. Suddenly, a voice drifted out from the back of the apartment, muddled and thick. "I told you to leave me alone." Lily's face drained of color. "That's him. I can't believe this. He's never been like this." Uncertain of what to do, Jake gently squeezed her hand, hoping for strength to flow between them. "We need to get to him. Together." They moved toward the voice, each step feeling like a leap into the unknown. With every ounce of conscious thought, Lily called out again, "Brett. I'm here. It's me, Lily." The response was a deep, agonized groan that twisted Jake's stomach. They turned the corner, and there he was, a tall figure crumpled on the floor, surrounded by fallen furniture and scattered bottles. "Oh my God," Lily gasped, rushing toward him. Brett's eyes flickered, filled with a wild mix of anger and despair. His disheveled hair and sunken cheeks told stories that words could never adequately express. "You shouldn't have come here," he shouted, slurring slightly. "Just go." Lily knelt beside him, fear and love battling in her expression. "Brett, please. I'm worried about you. You don't have to do this alone. What do you know about being alone? You've got Jake." He spat, his voice cutting deep. Jake felt the sting of Brett's words, but it was the anguish in Lily's eyes that pierced him the most. She fought against what was clearly her brother's pain, and it left him feeling powerless. "Brett, I'm here to help." Jake stepped forward, his own heart pounding, emotions lining up to defend Lily. "You don't have to push her away. Please, let us talk." Brett shifted his gaze, scrutinizing Jake as if searching for something hidden. "You think you can save anyone? You're just as lost." That struck Jake. Yes, he had been lost. But he was trying to fight his way back, and he wanted to pull Lily along with him. "We all have our demons," Jake answered, his voice steady but with an undercurrent of empathy. "But running away doesn't solve anything. Let us help." For a moment, a flicker of doubt crossed Brett's face. It was almost like a crack in his armor, a glimmer of vulnerability. But just as quickly, he turned away again, fists tightening against the floor. "I don't want help. I don't want anything." Lily's tears spilled over, her voice trembling as she spoke, "But I want you, Brett. I want my brother back. Please." At that moment, the room felt impossibly small, charged with unsaid words and buried truths. A silence fell over them, punctuated only by the heavy sound of Brett's breathing. Jake glanced at Lily and saw her hope flickering like a candle in the wind, so fragile yet so fierce. His own resolve tightened. This wasn't just about Brett, it was becoming about all of them and their individual battles. Suddenly, without warning, Brett screamed, "No. I can't go back." The walls seemed to shake with his despair as a wave of lost hope washed over them all. Jake couldn't help but wonder, how far could they reach into the darkness if they kept pushing forward? As the silence enveloped them, Jake felt the fear of the unknown clutch tightly at his gut. Would they be strong enough to pull Brett back from the brink? Or was their fate tied to this moment, suspended in the balance of choices not yet made? The quiet seemed too loud, the air too thick, as Jake looked into Lily's eyes. It was a pivotal moment, one that could change everything. What happened next could unravel everything they held dear. But as the storm of emotion swirled around them, the future remained uncertain, beckoning them deeper into the night. Jake felt the air crackle with tension. He glanced back at Lily, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, looking fragile yet determined. Here they were, standing at the threshold of something monumental, and all he could offer was a shaky resolve. "Brett, listen to us," Jake urged, trying to close the distance between them. "We know you're hurting. We want to understand." Brett raised his head slightly, his expression a painful mix of anguish and anger. "Understanding? You don't know a damn thing about me. You think you can just waltz in here and fix everything?" His voice broke. "You can't fix this." Lily crouched lower, her hands reaching towards her brother, desperately trying to bridge the chasm growing between them. "This isn't about fixing you, Brett. It's about being there for you. We all have our burdens." The words hung in the air, heavy like the stale smell of alcohol that clung to the room. Jake watched Brett's eyes flicker, a battle waging behind them. One side wanted to push them away, while the other seemed to reach out for help. Jake took another step forward. "We all feel lost sometimes," Jake said slowly, his heart racing as he laid bare his own scars. "I've been there, and I know you're stronger than you think. You can fight this, but you don't have to do it by yourself." Brett stared at him, a cocktail of skepticism and vulnerability swirled across his features. "What would you know about me?" he rasped. "I know enough," Jake replied, his voice steady. "I know how lonely it can feel, how suffocating those demons can be, and I know it's a lot easier when you have someone to lean on." Lily's gaze flickered between them, her fingers trembling but steadfast as they reached out. "We want to help you find your way back. Please, don't shut us out." A crack appeared in Brett's armor. He dropped his head back against the wall, shoulders shaking, the fight leaving him. "I don't know how I've messed everything up. I'm just so tired." The raw honesty of Brett's admission sent a wave of empathy crashing over Jake. There it was, the brittle truth they had all been dancing around. Jake stepped closer, determined to not let this moment slip away. "Then let us help you carry that weight," Jake urged, kneeling beside Lily. "You don't have to face it alone. Just take a chance on us again." Silence descended, punctuated only by Brett's heavy breathing. It felt like a crossroads, one that could reshape their lives forever. And then, releasing a long, shuddering breath, Brett finally looked up at his sister. I don't know if I can face it. I don't even know where to start." "Start with us," Lily said, her voice breaking but filled with warmth. "Just open your heart, Brett. I promise, we'll find a way together." As Jake watched the flicker of hope ignite in Lily's face, he wondered if this was the spark they needed, the light to guide them through the darkness, but as Brett brought a shaking hand to his face, wiping away the tears that marred his features, Jake felt the unease bubble back up. What if this wasn't enough? What if they couldn't help him after all? And just as that dread settled in his chest, the old wooden door suddenly creaked open, revealing a silhouette shrouded in shadow. "Brett? What is going on in here?" A gravelly voice called out, breaking the fragile moment. Jake's heart dropped. "What now?" The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a man with a weathered face and tired eyes. It was their father, standing there with a drink in hand, eyebrows knitted together in confusion. The atmosphere shifted, as if a wet blanket had been thrown over the room. "What is this? An intervention?" He scoffed, though his voice betrayed a hint of concern. Lily shot a quick glance at Brett, whose expression darkened. The tension in the room thickened, each second stretching painfully as the unexpected arrival threatened to ruin whatever moment of vulnerability they had carved out. "Dad, this isn't what you think," Brett said, his voice suddenly sharper. "Isn't it?" Their father stepped further in, taking in the sight of Lily on the floor, Jake kneeling beside her, and Brett visibly shaking against the wall. "You think talking it out changes anything? You need to toughen up, not sit around feeling sorry for yourself." Lily's heart pounded, her hands balling into fists. She wanted to scream. She wanted to reach out, to protect her brother from their father's harsh words, but the space felt electric and trapped. "Maybe instead of dismissing us, you could try to understand what we're going through," Jake interjected, feeling roaring anger rise. "This is not weakness, it's a struggle to be real. Do you know what that's like?" For a split second, their father's expression faltered, and Jake thought maybe he had struck a nerve. But then the mask returned, and it felt like decades of strain had seeped back into the very fabric of their family. "Life is brutal," their father snapped, his voice lowering as if he were issuing a warning. "You think talking is going to build strength? Not a chance. You want to get through this, Brett. You swallow it. You grow up." The words hit like daggers. Brett hugged his knees tighter, his face contorting with a mix of rage and despair. "Enough." Lily burst out, her voice fierce and unwavering. "We're here because we care. Because we love you. But you need to realize that we don't have to go through this alone." Their father opened his mouth to retaliate, but this time it was as if the air was sucked out of the room. He looked around at his children, at the crumbling emotion in Brett's eyes, at Jake's unwavering presence, and something shifted. "I don't need you to pity me," Brett hissed, voice strained. "I don't need your tough love. I need to feel something. I need to know it's okay to ask for help." Their father hesitated, the walls he had built around himself starting to crack. But the moment lingered only for a moment longer before he turned away, retreating into the hallway. "You'll figure it out. You always do." As the door swung shut behind him, the silence grew heavy. Brett rested his forehead on his knees, a small whimper escaping his lips. Jake shared a glance with Lily. They both knew they had a choice now, to let this moment define them or to pull together. "Brett," Jake began softly, reaching out again. "Let us try again. Forget what he said. We're here for you. Brett lifted his head, eyes searching Jake's. But what if I can't do it? There was a beat where time seemed to hang in the air. Jake felt the weight pressing down but also the flicker of a chance, a new path. Then let us help you find the way, Jake said slowly, resolutely. The door swung open again, this time with a more gentle creak, revealing a figure in the threshold. It was their mother, her features softening in recognition of the pain before her. Brett? She whispered, a plea for connection. Jake exchanged looks with Lily. A new wave of fear tingled in his spine. Would this be the doorway to healing, or would it lead them even deeper into darkness? Brett looked up, his eyes wide, disbelief swimming in the depths. The familiar shadow of his mother stood there, her presence like a lighthouse cutting through the suffocating fog. Mama, he murmured, as if her name alone could bridge the chasm of emotion between them. Their mother stepped inside, her gaze absorbing the room's atmosphere of distress, the tangled threads of tension and unspoken words. She moved closer, kneeling beside Brett, her hands reaching out almost instinctively, seeking connection. What happened? I heard shouting, she said, her voice soft yet firm. It's nothing, Brett replied, a sharp edge in his tone. He pulled away slightly, the warmth of the moment making him feel vulnerable. Don't say that, Lily insisted, a protective tone creeping into her voice. You heard Dad. We're just trying to talk about things. Their mother's expression shifted. She looked at Brett, who was still curled up on the floor, and then at Jake and Lily, sensing the residual pain hanging in the air like an unresolved melody. This is important. You don't just shove it under the rug, she said, her voice steady but edged with concern. You need to talk about it. Brett let out a shaky breath. You don't get it, nobody does. He felt the weight of his own feelings crash down, threatening to engulf him. It's like I'm screaming inside, and nobody hears me. Not even you. His mother's eyes filled with a glimmer of sorrow. Oh, honey. That isn't true. I'm here now. Just talk to me. A silence stretched, thick and anxious, the unuttered words floating up, begging for release. Jake watched as the tension began to morph, the wall around Brett cracking just enough to let in a sliver of light. I'm tired of pretending, Brett finally whispered, each word heavy like stones. I'm tired of trying to be someone I'm not. Lily's heart squeezed at the sight of her brother's struggle. You don't have to wear a mask with us, she assured him. Whatever you're feeling is real, and it's okay. There was a flicker of something in Brett's eyes, hope or fear, he couldn't tell. But as he looked at his mother, curling into herself a bit more, he found the courage to let go. I feel lost, Mama. Everything feels so heavy, and I don't know how to carry it. Tears glistened in their mother's eyes as she reached out to envelop him in a comforting embrace. You're not alone, Brett. You never were. As he melted into her arms, a wave of warmth washed over him, a flicker of acceptance piercing through the walls of despair. It felt like surrender, but in a way that was freeing instead of confining. Jake and Lily shared a glance, the unspoken bond between them solidifying. They were all in this together. Can we all be honest with each other? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Can we talk about our fears? Their mother nodded, detaching from Brett just enough so she could look him in the eyes. It's about finding our truth. No pretending. Just us. Brett swallowed hard, his heart racing. He didn't know if he could lay bare everything that haunted him, but maybe, just maybe, this moment could shift something. A sound echoed in the stillness, the faint creak of the house settling, like the world breathing with them. It felt fragile, yet full of potential. All right, Brett said finally, uncertainty hanging in the air. Let us try. As hesitance lingered, they knew this would be the first step, the moment of vulnerability that could change everything. But what would come next when the truth was set loose? The moment hung in the air, charged with a mix of dread and hope. Brett's heart pounded wildly, thrumming against his ribcage, each beat echoing the pressure of what lay ahead. He felt his mother's unwavering gaze on him, a silent encouragement that urged him to lean into the raw edges of his feelings. "Okay, I'll start," Brett said, his voice trembling slightly. "I feel like I've been drifting through life like a ghost. I'm not sure who I'm doing all this for anymore. School, sports, friends, it all feels pointless sometimes." Lily shifted closer to him, their knees brushing. "That makes sense. Things have been hard. You're just trying to keep your head above water." She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath it. Their mother nodded, her expression encouraging. "It's brave of you to say that, Brett. Life can feel overwhelming. What else is weighing you down?" Brett hesitated, feeling the weight of vulnerability pressing against his chest. "I guess I don't want to disappoint anyone. Especially Dad." Jake chimed in, his tone soft yet firm. "He's not the only one you have to please. You matter just as much." Brett took a deep breath, gathering his strength. "It just feels like I'm carrying everything alone. Like if I don't meet everyone's expectations, I'll let them down, and then I'm scared of what that means for me." Lily wiped at a tear threatening to slide down her cheek. "You're not a failure for feeling this way. It's tough. We all feel the pressure sometimes." Quiet filled the room for a moment, the siblings exchanging a look that spoke of shared understanding. Their bond felt thicker now, nourished by honesty. Their mother's presence anchored them, a lighthouse in the seas of their troubles. "I had moments like that, too," she said, her voice steadying them. "When I felt like I was losing myself. But I realized that living for others can't be how we define our worth." Brett glanced up, his eyes searching hers. "What if I don't know how to change? What if I can't shake off this feeling?" "That's okay," his mother replied gently. "Change takes time. We can figure this out together, piece by piece." Just as the warmth began to seep into Brett's chest, a sudden commotion erupted from outside. The sound of a car door slamming and heavy footsteps approached the house. Brett's heart sank. "Dad, he's home." Panic flickered in the air like static, anticipation coiling in their stomachs. The door swung open, revealing their father exhausted and worn but still imposing in the doorway. "What's happening here?" he asked with a mix of curiosity and concern. The four of them froze, minds racing. Would they be punished for opening up? Would they return to the silence and pretense that always hung like a cloud in the room? Brett exchanged anxious glances with his siblings and mother, fear swirling in his gut. He felt the urge to retreat, to put on the mask. Yet, in that very moment, an unwavering resolve settled within him. "Dad," he began, swallowing hard as all eyes turned toward him. "We need to talk." As his father took a step forward, Brett felt the world shift around him, ready to unveil hidden truths that could reshape their family dynamic forever. What would his father say? Would he embrace this moment or push them back into the shadows? Brett stood tall, heart racing, feeling the weight of the moment. The air crackled with tension, but as he looked into his father's eyes, he found a flicker of understanding, something he had longed for. "Dad, we're trying to be honest about how we feel," Brett said, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "I can't keep pretending things are okay when they're not." Their father's brow furrowed, but instead of anger, confusion washed over his face. He stepped further into the room, and just for a second, it felt like the walls were softening. "What do you mean?" he asked, words slow, cautious. Brett took a deep breath. "I feel lost. Like I'm drifting, and I can't meet your expectations. It's hard." The floodgates opened, his voice cracking with raw emotion. "I don't want to disappoint you anymore. But I can't keep carrying the weight alone." Jake watched from the side, feeling the tension shift almost palpably. Their father stood silent, absorbing the words that hung heavy in the air. "You think this is easy for me?" he replied, the edge still in his voice, but a deeper vulnerability creeping through. "I've had my own battles, you know. Then let us face them together, Brett urged, hope mingling with his fear. Let us stop pretending. For a moment, the room felt suspended in time, the silence stretching out as if everyone held their breath. Their father's gaze moved around the room, first to Brett, then to Lily, and finally to their mother, who remained a steady lighthouse amidst the storm. Lily stepped forward, her tone gentle yet firm. We love you, Dad. We want to support each other, but we need you to listen. We're trying to break the cycle of silence, to create a space that feels safe for all of us. Brett could see the conflict waging in his father's eyes. Would he step forward or retreat into isolation? Just then, a single tear slipped down their father's cheek. I never meant for things to get so twisted. I thought being tough was the only way to help you. Jake took a step closer, empathy filling the space where anger once resided. It's okay to be vulnerable. We all feel lost sometimes, and we can't do this alone. Families are about lifting each other up, right? Their father nodded, tears brimming, the facade of strength cracking like delicate glass. I just wanted what was best for you. I didn't realize how lonely I'd made you feel. Being strong doesn't mean you can't feel, their mother said softly, her voice weaving through the turmoil. We need to come together now more than ever. We have to talk openly even when it's hard. Without another word, Brett lunged forward and hugged his father tightly, desperation lacing his grip. To his surprise, their father wrapped his arms around his son, the warmth a revelation, a shift that felt almost sacred. I'm sorry, he whispered, the weight of years lifting the moment they embraced. I'll try to do better. As they stood there, a tangle of arms and remorse, an overwhelming sense of hope washed over the room. The barriers were starting to crumble, and the air felt lighter. Lily reached for Jake's hand, her fingers intertwining, an unspoken strength flowing between them. They all felt it, a collective promise that they would face whatever battles lay ahead together. As they stood as a family, embracing vulnerability, they began to share their truths. Voices wavered, emotions danced, but in each exchange, there was a release, the start of genuine healing. Jake smiled at Lily, her eyes reflecting the determination to keep moving forward. He hadn't just discovered a new love that night, he had awakened to a deeper understanding of family and connection, and for Brett, standing alongside him, the daunting weight he had carried began to feel lighter. Maybe they could rebuild, brick by brick, defining their own paths. As laughter mingled with tears and stories poured forth, the fragile elements that had once bound them in silence began to weave a new tapestry of resilience and love. In that moment, they all realized, rising from the ashes wasn't just about healing, it was about igniting a new beginning. And so, beneath the same shining stars that had witnessed their struggles, they embraced a newfound purpose, to be each other's anchor in rough waters, guiding one another home. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our community that believes in love, healing, and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help these stories reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this journey of realization, and don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.